My name is Jason Cisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger. Welcome to the Bald Avenger Show. I am the purveyor of all things common sense, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend in my own mind, y'all. In my own mind. There is a delay. See? Awesome. So anyway, I want to get started. What's up, John Duffy? Oh man, all my favorite people are in the house. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. So tonight we are going to talk about a subject near and dear to my heart. I know that everybody watching this, nobody is going to have any sort of attachment to this. I know none of you are control freaks, but what we're going to do is we're going to chat about it. Because, again, the subject of the show, the title of the show is called Confessions of a Control Freak. And I should have said Confessions of a Recovered Control Freak. But I don't know how many of the people that work with me in my company are going to be watching this, because they would probably laugh at that. What's up, Donna Davidson in the house? Brooke Curran. Oh man, we got Next Impactor all over the place. Those of you that aren't watching, we've got the Next Impactor that is happening right now as we speak. And we've got the competitors. We're in the second round, and we're going towards this finale that's going to be August 30th at the Stan Mansion in Chicago. And I think there might be about, if I count them up in my brain really quick, there might be 5, 6, 7, 8. So about 8 tables of the entire ballroom for that evening that are still available. Okay. And so just want to let you guys know that. Go to the Next Impactor page, find your favorite impactor and start following them, as long as they're on hashtag Team Jason. Okay. Hashtag Team Jason. If hashtag Team Jason's in the house, hashtag the shit out of it, because that's who's going to win this competition. And I love my other competitors and I love the other coaches, but I might just be competitive. I might just have some amazing Next Impactors. But again, it's a competition. So may the best man or woman win. And that's what we got going on there. What else is happening? I'm going to be speaking in Denver. I'm headed over to Montana, y'all. Montana. We're going to go fix a business up there in Montana. I haven't been to Montana in a long time. Last time I was in Montana, I was going to watch my brother fight in a cage fight, and I got pulled over. Maybe exceeding the speed limit. Maybe not. I don't know. That would be something to ask somebody else besides me. But it was a good fight. I think he actually won that. I think that was one of the ones that he won. But anyway, so what else we got going on? And then speaking in Denver, that's going to be the 11th and the 12th. And then after that, we've got a lot of stuff happening. So anyway, we'll put out all those announcements. The team is on it. We've got a new producer of the show that's going to be coming up. The shows are going to be produced by somebody new, and I'm going to introduce him we'll do an interview why I chose them and their team to publish the show. We're getting a lot of downloads thanks to y'all. Once it goes up on YouTube and it goes up on iTunes, there's a lot of downloads that are happening, which is really, really cool, only because of y'all that watch, and I really, really appreciate it. And I'm looking for, you guys are giving me a lot of feedback on the show so that it can direct me at what you guys want to talk about. Because the last thing I want to be is something, look, here's a number, 3.5 billion Facebook Lives, y'all, since Facebook Live started going live, 3.5 billion. And so we put out this little show. I thought, I just wanted to say some things, but it's catching on. And we have some crazy conversations here that are based around the idea. And there was a couple of really good ones that I took snapshots of over the last couple of days. But we talk about shit that needs to be talked about. And we have a good time while we're doing it. And in the meantime, we also raise awareness for the different charities that are out there. And that's what it's all about. Next Impactor, I was jokingly, saying hashtag Team Jason, but you know what? I see Brooke on here, Team Todd. We've got people on here from all of the different teams that watch this, and they're all amazing. The 50 that got chosen got cut down to 25. Every single person has something unique to add to the world. That's what makes this competition really, really cool. Is that's the scenario. But we come together, we talk, we make fun of shit that needs to be made fun of. We shed light on things that need to be talked about. The next Impactor finale, Stan Mansion, I already mentioned that. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I mean, the production that's going into it, this thing started out in a kitchen, y'all. Started out in a kitchen. And the cut was made in the kitchen out of like handmade stuff. And then what you're going to see at the finale is freaking amazing. The Stan Mansion, the room, how it's dressed up, all of the things that are going to be happening. Some networks checking it out, which is awesome and amazing. But tonight, I really wanted to talk about a subject, and I said it's Confessions of a Control Freak. And I went back through and I again, dealing with all of y'all, dealing with different people that I deal with, the companies that we're turning around on a day-to-day basis, the business owners that are going through our 12-week program. We have a lot of conversations around the idea of control, and it's masked. And so I decided to dive back into my life and to really look at, where did I start really the initial, because I'm 47 now. I'm 47 years old now, and my need for control is way less than it used to be when I was younger. And I went back and I started to investigate, because there's a lot of stuff that's in parallel with how you believe. Republican, Democrat, independent. You don't believe shit. You're just like, I'm not going to vote, whatever it is. That's your way of controlling your own world and your own psychology. And I found it fascinating as I dove back in, and I was like, all right, well, this is a confession of a control freak. That control freak is me. So I've got to really dive in and figure out what it is about me that drove that when I was younger. And then how do I view control today? And how do the people around me view control, and the people that are successful, the people that are challenged, and maybe look at this whole world, this whole word and world of control in maybe a different light that can support you moving from here to there. So a couple of things that came up out of it was when I was younger, as a kid, and I think that that a lot of people will connect with this, is that as a kid, I didn't feel like I had much control. Obviously, I was in a very abusive household. I didn't control when we moved, which was all the fucking time. I didn't control when my adopted father was coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning and just decided to punch me in the face while I was laying there asleep. I didn't choose being thrown downstairs. I didn't choose stepping in front of my mom. My mom didn't choose getting punched in the face and thrown through walls. There's a lot of stuff that was happening when I was younger that I felt like I was out of control. I tell the story, my grandma and my mom, I think back to those days, and my mom and my grandma would let us put about this much water in the bottom of a tub, right? Because literally the amount of money that we had to be able to go month to month was dependent on how much water that was used. And I know that I don't know if you can relate to that or if you can't relate to that, but I remember those days, and and I've always been sort of a sizable person. Even when I was a kid, I was sizable, and this much water just doesn't do shit. Right. And so my way of controlling that was, the first time that I got my own place to live was I would take, and still to this day, I take showers that are way too fucking long. Why? Because I can. And so you find yourself doing these weird little fucking things because of shit that happened to you all that time ago. Like, I don't need to stand in there and just kind of like sing Elvis Presley at the top of my lungs for an extra 5 minutes. I don't need to do that. Nobody needs to hear that, but I do it anyway because I can, and because I'm not forced to take a bath in that much water. My clothes, right? Back then, that I would have like one pair of clothes to wear. They would come from the secondhand store. And so when I got to making a little bit of money, I would go buy all kinds of nice shit just because I wanted to experience it. And so I look back at those days, and what happened, the switch was when my adopted father went to prison for attempted murder of me and my mom. I felt this overwhelming sense of freedom. right? This overwhelming sense of freedom to be able to do whatever the fuck I wanted to. Now, when I started doing life, right, which was not all those great decisions back then, I'm collecting money, dealing drugs, doing whatever I could, hustling on the street because it's what I knew. Because I was fearful of loss and the things that I was going through as a child, and I couldn't control the things that were happening, I wanted to control everything. And so I stepped in and I wanted to control my environment. I wanted to control my relationships. I wanted to control everything that was happening around me. And the more you try to control out of fear, the more you try to control of anything that's outside of you. We'll get into those lessons here in a little bit, but you know this. Anytime that you try, and I got even into professions and different things where life expectancy in different professions. And really dug into this idea of control. But let's talk a little bit about the types of control, okay? So I'm going to just look out here. So Sandy, same thing. John, same thing. 3 showers a day because growing up like I did. Exactly. We do the weirdest shit, right? And Patrick can definitely relate. But let's talk about the different types of control to set the stage. So the different phrases. I was just looking up different phrases that have the word control in them. In control, right? Think about these things. Out of control. You've got damage control. You got controlling the purse strings, which the ladies out there are going, yeah, I do that. Whatever. Keep under control. Take control of, control over, relinquish control, bring under control, controlled substance, spin control. And then the last one that I wrote down here was control freak, right? And the definition of control, by the way, there's two sides of it. Just like everything that we talk about, y'all, there's two sides of the equation. And when we're talking about what's happening with Democrats and Republicans, there's always two sides. And it's hilarious because I'll come down on one side of an issue as on the liberal progressive side, and I'll get hammered like, oh my God, I can't believe you're a Democrat and blah, 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 blah. And then I'll come down on the other side of being on the conservative side, and I'll get hammered. Oh my God, you're just a Trump loving blah, blah, blah. And actually, before it used to bother me, but now it's like hilarious because you at the end of the day, you can't control how anybody feels about you at all. It's an outside resource. So one of the things that I was looking at that I found really, really interesting. I got to find it here. Well, now it's not going to be. See, I had all this shit ready for the show. And now it's gone. But I'll come back to it. So anyway, so let's talk a little bit about that. In control. When people like just the very definition of saying, are you in control? What the fuck does that even mean? Right? What does that mean? What are the different areas? And I just picked 5. Death. Okay. Control over death, control over mindset, control over your physical health, control over your finances, and control over your happiness. Right? So when you go back and you look at all the uses of the word control, in control, are you in control of when you die? No. And I had an experience. I was at this event one time, and I happened to come across this monk, and he was fascinating from stage. I was on, and then another speaker, and then him. And I actually got to speak to him after he came off stage. And we had this amazing conversation because whether I liked it or not, and again, it's sort of telling the truth, right? Whether I liked it or not, I thought a lot about death. Especially when I was younger, because I didn't know whether it was coming the next day, whether it was with my adopted father, whether it was, when I was out running the streets, whatever it was. I thought a lot about death, and I thought about it way more than I thought I should, or that I should have at the time. And so anyway, so I got in this really interesting conversation with this monk, and he said, Jason, what you should do is over the next 6 months, he said, one of the things that we were taught when we very first come to the monastery that he was at, whatever monastery he was at, he said, look, we get taught to meditate on the idea of our own death, which sounded kind of morbid to me at the time. I'm like, we spend a lot of time avoiding the thought process of death because it brings a lot of it's the end, right? It's like the ultimate end. And he said, Jason, just for the next 6 weeks, why don't you meditate every single day, however long you meditate, just go sit down and think about nothing but death. Think about your own death and how it comes about. And so I did that. And for the first time I did it, I was like, fuck this. I'm out like after 30 seconds. I'm like, I don't want to think about that. I want to think about the airplane and all the other shit that everybody's told that we should think about. Right. And so it went from that. And then I did it the next day. I made it about 5 minutes and I was like, fuck it, I'm out. And then finally I started doing it for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes. And I really started thinking about this idea of death and us thinking that it's permanent. And what came to me when I was going through this entire process, and he would check in with me at the end of every day. Did you do it? What was your feedback? Did you do it? What was your feedback? And it got to a point where I started to think about death is it's not permanent, right? And whether you believe in heaven or whether you believe in coming back in another life, whether you believe in nothing at all, it's not permanent. You're just changing shape, right? If you think that all that happens is you go into the dirt or you get cremated and you're thrown into the ocean or you put in your favorite place or whatever it is, you become part of the rest of the ecosystem, right? No matter what. So I started to fear death less. And then I started to think about, well, really, there's a saying out there that says a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a brave man or woman, but one. I started thinking about that because what we really are thinking about is, are we going to be in pain? Like, is it going to be a painful process? Get hit by a bus? Is it the plane I'm going to go down on? Am I going to get cancer and suffer for a long time? Will I recover if I do get cancer? Am I going to be a success story, or am I going to be one of the ones that suffers and ultimately, sort of shrinks away to nothing and I cause my family all kinds of financial problems and right? We focus so much on death that we forget to live because we want to control things. And there's definitely some ideas around control. So in control, are we in control of death? Out of control. We use that to describe people that are demonstrating outside of the norm activities, right? You're out of control. What does that mean, right? Keeping under control, taking control of, spin control. And this is what happens a lot when people are spinning the messages. When somebody says some dumb shit, like this is the issue. Like you got to be a spin doctor to be on Donald Trump's team, because he'll literally say, I like blue. And by the time he's finished his conversation, he'll be like, I like red. Well, wait a minute. It's not even a fact-checking thing. You just go, he just said the same shit in the same sentence that was opposite of what he was saying. And so you got to kind of that spin control. And then when you have people saying things like socialism is a good thing, right? The spin control over it is if we are allowing something outside of ourselves to assert itself on us, then we're letting it control us. We have to control that, okay? So anyway, death, mindset. Do we have control over our mindset? This is something that we have a lot of control over, but a lot of us are letting and allowing the past or the people that we hang out with the most, that we're allowing them control of ourselves. We feel like we're controlling our environment. And then what happens is you get outside of your bubble. Let's say that you live in Chicago where Sandy lives, right? There's a certain way of thinking, right? That is pervasive in that city about politics. Now, if you go to Salt Lake City, Utah, there's another kind of politics that's pervasive. If you go to LA, if you go to Dallas, Texas, there's these different areas that people have different thought processes. And so when you go outside of that bubble, for instance, like digitally on Facebook, and you see something that somebody says and it goes against that, now you feel a little bit out of control. And that's where people freak the fuck out. Like you see people literally like Sandy and I the other day were going back and forth a little bit on Chomsky, and I was talking about another book and a different idea. And I know Sandy's heart, right? I know her heart. And she can disagree with me politically as much as she fucking wants. And not a person on the face of the planet is ever going to make me hate her, right? They're not going to make me hate her because I know her heart. I know she's service oriented. I know that the things that she is interested in and the things that she has done. And I've watched her do with her own checkbook and her own feet that go far, far away or far opposed from me trying to denigrate her because she's a Democrat. And the same thing on the Republican side, because I got to tell you all, I'm neither, right? I'm a centrist. I'm a centrist that I lean right. Okay. And so I got to keep on this control thing. I got to keep on this control. So your mindset, a lot of times it's external control versus internal control. And so a lot of times we allow people to control our mindset by, we've heard the phrase before, pushing buttons. You know, oh, she knows how to push my buttons. He knows how to push my buttons. Move your fucking buttons. There's no buttons. There's really genuinely no buttons. There's buttons on my suit. There's buttons on my shirt, but they ain't no buttons on me. And so somebody can't push them. It's a metaphorical thing that we make real because we want to control our environment. Physical health, right? Physical health. Again, the food that's out there available to us, the way that the people that you surround yourself with, how they eat, do they find themselves with the idea that they're an athlete? There's a good side of control and there's a bad side of control. There's a good side which tells you I'm going to control the things that I put in my body so that I can produce the outcome and the result that I want. I want high energy. I want to look fit. I don't necessarily have to have a six-pack, but I want to have the energy that I need to do life. I want to do life with a certain level of vim and vigor. And that means that I have to control the things that are going in my body. Now, if I allow that chocolate cake, I looked over there as if there was one, but there's not, I promise. But if I let the chocolate cake control me, now I've relinquished control to an outside source, right? How about our finances? Our finances. What are you doing to control your finances? A lot of people go, oh, well, I didn't graduate from high school. So, you know, my choices are limited. That's your mindset, and you're controlling yourself with that mindset. The fact that you think that because you didn't graduate and you didn't get a little piece of paper that said that you did good according to an outdated resource, an outdated way of measuring the intelligence or the usefulness of your mind, your creativity, the way that you look at the world. There's an entire world out there that's been telling people that Christopher Kaysen, because he's on the spectrum of autism, that he thinks differently, that he's not as smart as the rest of us. And I can tell you, having interacted with that young man as long as I have, he is fucking brilliant. He far outshines many people in certain areas. But just like me, I don't shine in every area. He doesn't either. But he does shine. Where he shines bright. And it's the same thing with you. Right? You're allowing these messages to control you. I couldn't have the conversation that I had with Sandy the other day unless I took control of my learning, right? That's a good thing. I took control of my learning, and I don't set out learning with an agenda. I don't set out trying to prove that Republicans are the best. I don't set out with trying to prove that Democrats are the worst or the best. I don't even start out thinking that my idea is the best. What I start out with is the idea that if I'm going to be a useful tool in this, and I know this is a lot of jokes. Yeah, Jason, you're a tool. but at the end of the day, if I'm going to be useful in this world, if I'm going to be able to navigate it properly, then I have to be informed. And in order to be informed, I want people in the middle. I want people on the left. I want people on the right. I want people that think that the world is flat. I want people that think that the world is round. I want people to think that the sun creates its own energy. I want people to think that energy is pulled from other places and it's reflecting that. Like, I want to know all of that shit so that I can make better qualified decisions, so that I can have a better experience to get to be the best me that I could possibly be for the purpose of serving other people. That's how I've defined life. It doesn't have to be your definition, but that's how I've defined success in life. And it's taken me a fucking long time to come to those conclusions. That to narrow life down to the fact that I have to get to be as good as I possibly can. That means that all of that control is up to me. What books am I going to read? How much am I going to challenge myself? Who am I going to surround myself with? Am I going to put out a show? Am I going to put my voice out there into the middle of the 3.5 billion Facebook Lives that have been out there? Is that going to add any value? I don't know. I have a really great time and we have really great conversations because of it. So I'm going to keep fucking doing it. Right. But at the end of the day, that around finances, what are you allowing that control you around your finances? How much is enough? How much is not enough? How much of the way that you're living has been relegated or abdicated to the people who've told you you can't do better, right? I never graduated from high school. I'm doing pretty well by standards, by whose standard, I don't know. Not as well as Warren Buffett yet, but what I can do, I can read his book. I got it sitting right here, Snowball. Okay. I've got it sitting right here. So, finances, what are your control your finances? Now, if you go out and run out and buy the newest, coolest shit, the newest iPhone, the newest, whatever it is, are you allowing marketing to control you? Or are you controlling your own budget? Have you decided that whatever it is, I make $10,000 a month, I make $10,000 a month, or I make $10,000 a year? How much of that can you put aside, right? By making better buying decisions, not being controlled by marketing messages, not being controlled by what your neighbor has, right? And this is, if you go back and you read anything about Warren Buffett, he could give a shit. What he was doing was he was selling to his neighbors. Right? He was selling to his neighbors. He was living on a small percentage of his income. He was investing it for the future, right? It's delayed gratification. And that's a part of control, whether you're exerting control on the universe or the universe is exerting control over you. Finances is a big place. It's a big place. Are you playing the game according to how you learned it or how you watch everybody else around you? Because I had a really great conversation today with a dear friend of mine, and I had to have a hard conversation with him. We worked with him in his company, and he may or may not be watching. I haven't watched who's coming on here, but I'm not going to divulge who you are. But we were having a conversation. We helped him with this company about maybe a year and a half ago, okay? And he didn't execute the discipline on that stuff. He abdicated it to his team. Well, what happened was he lost that company, and his team almost weekly calls me up on the phone and says, Jason, thank you for the shit that you taught us when we were in here, when we were with that other company, because it's made us wealthy people. Right. And I had to look at him today. He's like, look, I've got this new business. I want your help. I want it, blah, 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 blah. And I said, frankly, I don't see the discipline. I don't see the self-control. And as much as I love you, I will help you. I will do whatever it is that you need as a friend, but to be in business with you is another issue. You've demonstrated your lack of control over yourself. And it was exactly what he needed to hear, because he humbled himself and he said, you know what, Jason, you're right. I've had people tell me the same exact thing, right? I've had people tell me the exact same thing, and I could be arrogant and I could say, fuck you, you don't know what you're talking about. But that would be idiotic, especially if the person that you're talking to has a track record of success, right? So control over finances. Are you letting the world of advertising, are you letting it control you? Or are you learning investment strategies? Okay. I'm never going to fucking sell you an investment strategy. It's not the work that I'm in. I will just tell you the concept of investing is delaying today what could happen tomorrow, right? Everybody says there's a bird in the bush. And this is an example out of Snowball, Warren Buffett's newest book, that somebody says a bird in the bush is worth, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Well, not necessarily. If you have two in the bush that's going to give you a 50 to 60 to 100% return on your investment, leave those fuckers in the bush and take the bird out of your hand. You see what I'm saying? It's a different mindset. And control of your personal situation comes from investigating in multiple areas with multiple disciplines of thought that completely oppose each other and completely oppose the belief system that you have in your mind. Okay. Happiness. Can you control your own happiness? Look, it's interesting to me. It was an exercise that I did in one of the million fucking seminars that I've been to, right? Where I sat down and what we were told to do was, can you remember a time when you were completely loved? And most people, because again, there's this something to thrive, right? When you're born, you have to get love when you're born, or else you die. And somebody can put up whatever that is, the actual medical terminology behind it. But the medical terminology says that you have to have been loved at one point in time or another. And for a lot of us that are watching this, we have a lot of love in our life. We just don't recognize it because we're too busy focused on the one or two assholes out there that are attacking us. And one of those assholes is usually staring us back in the face, right? So can we control our own happiness? If I can sit eyes closed and I can remember a time in my life when I was completely loved, completely safe, completely happy, and I can recreate that while I'm sitting in whatever environment that I'm in, going back to Viktor Frankl's book, which I say almost every show because it's a great book, Man's Search for Meaning. He said in that book, I am more free than my captors. That means that he had more control over what was happening to him, whether he was being physically beat, whether he was being starved to death, whether he was watching his best friend be murdered, whatever the case may be. He controlled his mindset about how he felt in that moment. And so he determined that he was more free than his captors. It's very powerful if you understand that. So practicing happiness, practicing remembering a time when you were happy, when you were in control. And I know there's so much shit that goes on out there, y'all. I know I've been through it myself where people, is fucking telling me to be happy. You don't understand my marriage. You don't understand my financial position. You don't understand the cancer I'm dealing with. You don't understand that my son or daughter just committed suicide. You don't understand. I do understand, y'all. And I expect that I'm speaking here and the people that are listening to me around the world on replay and the different platforms that I'm on. What I expect is for us to be called to action. Just like I did with my friend today, I believe that we don't get anywhere being coddled. We get a long way being led by people who have your best interest in mind. I feel like the people that have been in my life, that have been leading me, have been the most valuable asset to me. And I also feel like with my adopted father, that he was a valuable asset to teach me how not to be as a man, right? So you can control the meaning of everything and anything that's happening to you. And I know Patrick's doing it right now. He's going through some shit, not my place to say, but he's going through some shit and he is controlling his mindset. He's one of the happiest person. He's one of the most productive. Like he gives so many great comments on so many different text contextual issues for different people. He follows people. He builds people up. And all the while, he's going through some shit himself, right? He's going through some shit himself. And you wouldn't know it. So I want to get to the main concept of this, that external control of many things, control of many things is an illusion. And we know it. And that's what we're afraid of, right? Control of anything is predominantly an illusion. When, whether a 9/11 happens or something comes out of the blue, or if you live in Syria and one day it's cool and the next day it's not cool, or you live in Venezuela and one day it's cool and the next day it's not cool. The illusion of control is what scares the shit out of us, is that we don't have any. And so what we do and what we're watching happen in front of us is we're watching Democrats feel like they're losing control. You've got Republicans. Look, when you look at what's going on with the Democrats and the Republicans right now, it's like we desperately, I'm going on record to say we desperately need at least a dual competition going on in government. We must have the Democrats. We must have the Republicans. They both need to be strong. They both need to be vibrant. They both need to be ready to battle it out in the world of ideas. It's desperately needed. And what we're forgetting is that You watch Republicans sometimes. I watch them on TV, and I sometimes sit back and watch them and just watch their faces go. I literally can't believe that Democrats are saying shit that they're saying. Right? You've got this Antifa thing that happened in Portland, which pissed me off, y'all. Like, again, control of my emotions. I don't get upset about a lot of things these days, but when you watch a 70-year-old man take a crowbar to the head, that's not okay for any reason, right? For any reason. And when you watch a gay Asian, Andy, I can't say his last name, forgive me, but it's NGO, however you pronounce that. A gay Asian journalist in the middle of it gets both eyes blacked and hit with concrete, and he has a brain bleed. He went to the hospital for a brain bleed because he's a journalist who happens to oppose Antifa. I don't understand what fucking universe that's ever okay with in. And you have a mayor that's given them a stand down order. That none of that makes sense to me. Police are put in place to protect and serve, right? And so when you see things, again, coming back to this idea, is when you see shit like that, and they are supposedly Antifa, they're supposedly going against fascism, which is extreme right wing, right? Control and all that other kind of shit. They're supposedly being against that, but you don't see anybody on the right cracking people over the head like that. You used to happen. I get it. I understand, but it's not happening right now. Okay. And now you have this Antifa that's doing the same thing to these people. Like, I don't want to go off onto a rant. I guess I already did, but it pissed me off because I saw in this man that was bleeding all over his face. I saw my grandfather. And I just wanted to jump on a plane and I wanted to fly up there and start fucking fighting back. Because if the police aren't going to protect these people that are just, in some cases, just walking down the street, a big bearded dude just stepped in trying to protect people and he got cracked in the head, 24 staples in his head. That shit pisses me off. It's not okay, no matter who you're opposing, right? And so this idea of control being an illusion, then the idea is in the Misfit Nation is for us to figure out what are the controllables, right? Learn to control the controllables. And I want to finish up my point on the right wing, left wing thing. Both sides try to cast themselves as victims. Think about a business. Okay. I'm going to go left wing right now on my right wing brothers and sisters. And people say that money's best in the hands of corporations. Well, sometimes that's true. Small to mid cap companies that are supporting their team, that are supporting it's become like a family as opposed to a multinational business. Too much money and too much influence in the hands of corporations has throughout history proven itself to not be the best idea. So this whole swing to a capitalistic market, I don't think is the right answer. Now, if we swing all the way back over to the other side where it says that everybody's shit should just be shared equally, that doesn't work either. That's the left side of the equation, which is what you see, and it's failed every fucking country it's ever been tried in, right? And people will throw Finland at me. Go ahead and do your own research on Finland. But the point being is that there's an answer in the middle, and we're not allowing that conversation to happen. That's why I hang on to Sandy like desperately fucking hang on to Sandy, because I feel like if her and I can get along, and if I'm going to put my hands as far apart as I can on the screen, if we could be any further apart on the political spectrum, it would be boom, it would be off. But you know what? I feel like if her and I can continue to communicate and continue to love each other and continue to support each other and continue to a dialogue, she's listening to me. I'm listening to her, and she's right on some things and I'm right on some things, right? But that's the issue. I'm going way too far off on a tangent, but look, if this continues to ramp up, what's happening in Portland, Oregon, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty because right now you have a half of the country, and most of that half is the half that has guns legally and shit. And they've been, holding back or whatever. And then if that other side of the equation comes in and starts beating people up for no reason, like they are, that's not going to be fucking pretty. There's no universe where that ends well. And I'm not saying that Antifa, the original side of Antifa, wanted to confront the white supremacists. Maybe that was started in the right place, in the heart, but it has completely gone out of control. Anyway, fuck it. I did not intend to go on a political rampage because it's not really. It's about us controlling the narrative, right? No matter what side of the equation that we're talking about, they are seeking, back to the title of this entire thing, they are seeking control, right? They are seeking control of us. Just like advertisers, the entire world is set up to take your money and to take your willing giving of your own power away. And I'm just here to say the whole reason why I'm doing the Bald Avenger show, the reason why I put out this message, the reason why I do the shit that I do is because we should help people that can't fucking help themselves, y'all. If somebody can help themselves and they're not, that's their choice, right? That's their choice. Now, when somebody is in prison for sex trade, somebody can't feed themselves because it's being controlled, or the distribution's not working right, or somebody's a prisoner in their own house with domestic violence, that's where we should come together. And that shouldn't be a Republican Democrat thing. That should be a fucking human thing. And I understand. I get told all the time, the only thing in the middle of the road, Jason, is fucking roadkill. But I don't care. I'm going to stake out this spot. I'm going to stake out this fucking spot because that's what's made this country great. That's what's made it stand out. That's what's given us the ability to be able to advance in so many ways. And we're this close when we're making medical advancements like crazy, when we're making advancements on easing suffering in the world. Y'all, we're headed to a complete systemization, and jobs are going to continue to be lost. We need to start having conversations about what do we do in a society where there's no jobs, right? Maybe not in our generation, but you can see that that's the direction that it's going. What are we going to do? We at least, even if it doesn't happen, we should be having those conversations. So when you see somebody like Andy Yang, or I think that's his name, Andy Yang, that's on stage for the Democrats, and he says $1,000 for everybody, it's a universal income. Look, I don't agree with, in this environment, that should be happening. We should be helping those that can't help themselves. And I'm not into wealth distribution either, but if we keep going towards AI, and we keep going towards machining, and we keep going towards robots, and we keep going down that road, we are eventually going to live in a world where there's no jobs. And we should at least start having the conversation about the future. But we're so worried right now. We're so concerned about whether the Democrats are going to win or whether the Republicans are going to win. And we're having these stupid fights over stupid shit when we're on the verge, y'all, of curing AIDS. We're on the verge of fixing cancer. We're on the verge of these wild breakthroughs in the brain diseases. We're on the verge of a lot of things. And we can't go anywhere when we're going to fight about the size of a fucking wall, whether it's a fence, whether it's a wall, whether we should be completely socialist, whether we're going to pay off everybody's fucking debt, whatever the case may be. We can't solve those problems when our brain power is bent on destruction of our fellow countrymen and countrywomen, right? We can't do it. It's not possible for us to fight petty wars and solve massive problems like the greatest. I think of the Greatest Generation and the sacrifices that they made for us, and the way that they must shake their head in fucking disappointment at what we're doing with the freedom that they gave their lives for. They just must shake their head. When I speak to them, I think to them, they're hopeful on one side, the ones that I've had conversations with, look, we're living longer. There's ability, but we've stopped living longer, except for in a specific area. We've stopped living longer. We're starting to go backwards because of the way that we're treating each other, not because of the people that are in government. People in government are always going to want the control over your life. People in business are always going to want the control so that they can have all the money, so that they can have the control. That neither one of them should ever get what they fucking want. Neither one of them. It's got to be somewhere in the middle that we have to solve these issues. Okay. I don't know. Control. That's what we were talking about. Holy shit. Oh, look at that. Matchy, matchy. Matchy, matchy. So, what are the controllables? All I want you guys to do is think about it. You can post it up here, but what are the controllables in your own life? What are the things that you know emphatically that you have control over? Just put up some ideas here, because I want to get the feedback from Misfit Nation, what you feel like you have control over. What do you feel like you have control over? I'm going to take another drink while you answer. And meanwhile, I'm going to try to find this text. So many pictures. So John says, I control who I associate with, 100%. Michelle says, I control where I work. You know, there's people out there that don't believe that they control where they work. And I'm glad to hear you say that, Michelle. Sandy says, oh, the good things are flicking by. I need a farm to control my food. Okay. Again, what do you feel like you have control over right now? Right? What do you feel like you have control? Brooke says she has control over thoughts, 100%. The fact that you're still angry says more about you than it does me, especially after a comment that had nothing to do with you. You must be talking to somebody else. Yep. So control of myself, standing up for myself. I've decided to control the amount of negativity I allow in my life. Excellent. That's great. How do you do that, Brian? How do you control the amount of negativity that you allow in your life? John Duffy, my beliefs, attitudes, and actions. Yes. Clapping, clappity, clap, clap for Mr. John Duffy. Love that. Keep spending times with those that you have what you desire. Keep building new relationships. Love that. Get to control my attitude every day. Control my thoughts, the actions. Okay. I wrote down 3 things. Okay. And this is kind of how I'm going to close out the show tonight. I wrote down mindset, going right in line with what Misfit Nation is saying here, that I get to control my brain. I get to control whether I'm pissed or I'm not pissed. Like when I was watching what was going on in Portland, the reason why I've chosen to do the things that I've done in philanthropy is because I have a direct impact. I can go in, do a rescue, see them unchained, watch them go free. We can put food into the mouths of children that are starving and families that are starving. And I can watch them get better. I can watch them do better. We can take people out of domestic violence and watch them, like you see them get their new teeth and they have a new place and they start working on their lives and they start working on themselves and they end up getting degrees and they get their criminal records expunged and they get a safe place for their kids and they attract a new type of man into their life that's supportive of them. I do the best that I can to work on shit that I can see an impact on, right? And that's the control that I have over my life, to where I'm going to put my time and energy so that I can see a return on that, okay? So my mindset each and every day, Where in your life have you relinquished or abdicated? Look up the word abdicate. Abdicate basically means you're giving something to somebody else with absolutely no measurement or no responsibility or no accountability. That is abdication. That is why the government is where it's at right now, is because we as a people have taken our civic duty and decided, oh, I don't have a civic duty. Most people don't understand. Oh, civic duty is going to get in my way of my Instagramming and my likes and my Facebook and my this and my that. Civic fucking duty, y'all, is what built this country. And if we abdicate to people, what do you think is going to happen? Go back and anybody that wants to Google a fascinating study, go back and it's called the prison experiment, where let's just say we take all of us and we make some of us prisoners and we make some of us guards. Okay. If you give anybody that power, there was some weird shit. They had to shut down the study because of all the weird shit that was happening, the dynamics, the control dynamics that were there. The people that were acting, these were just actors. They were there voluntarily, both of them. And they just got arbitrarily split into two groups called prisoners and guards. And the lack of humanity that happened between the guards and the prisoners will blow you away. Just go Google it. It's worth your time to go and Google it. And so you get to the idea, coming back to the idea that absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's the only thing that comes to mind. I was going to try to go a different direction, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that is either side of the spectrum, y'all. So when you are trying to destroy the Republicans, you're wrong. When you're trying to destroy the Democrats, you're in the wrong. When you're trying to destroy a outdated policy or procedure that's in place that could be improved upon, now you're fighting the shit that you should be fighting the war. Because I'm telling you, many more crowbars come out like it came out in Portland. It just escalates quickly. First it's words, and then they're screaming at each other, and then they're hitting each other with milkshakes, and then those milkshakes have fast drying concrete in them, and then the fast drying concrete has chemicals in it, and then those become bats, and those become all these other types of things, guys. And then eventually it's going to be knives, and eventually it's going to be guns. That's what's going to happen. Okay. So mindset. Where in your life do you have you abdicated the control of your mind to someone else and decide to take it back? Just decide to take it back. If you've allowed, there's a lot of people, sorry, my freaking thing is itching tonight, but when you're looking at the idea, and I'm being drawn over into a comment by Sandy. I'm not going to get drawn into it for gerrymandering at the moment because it has benefited both sides of the aisle, and it is a bullshit policy that needs to be done away with. Okay. Period. End of sentence. And it has benefited the Democrats right now. They have been the worst at it. And now the Republicans are doing their thing with it. Gerrymandering is something that needs to be abolished completely. So, see, I did let you take me off course, Andy. I did let you take me off course. So anyway, mindset, what do you need to get rid of? And what do you need to stop abdicating? What do you need to stop giving the power away to somebody? And think about it. If you use your wife or your husband as an excuse, that is your weakness, not theirs. Because most people that I ever hear complaining about their spouse, they can make a decision to have a conversation and change it, or they can get a divorce and move out and move on and do other things. A lot of people, the things that we are complaining about have become our comfort zone because the rest of the world is giving us pity to say, oh yeah, your wife is really a jerk. Oh yeah, your husband's really a jerk. And we take that in instead of doing our level best to take control of our own lives and make our own decisions. We allow that to be abdicated to other people. If you're doing that, fine, do it, but know you're doing it and stop bitching. Okay. Or complaining. Second thing that you can control, your actions. And I saw that on here with comments before, that you can control your actions. If somebody punches you in the face, you have 100% control out over how you're going to respond, unless you're a well-trained SEAL and their first impact or impulse is to rip your throat out. You know, that's their first impulse. So don't fuck with the SEAL. That's all I'm saying. Or any of the special forces by that matter. But actions, you can control your actions. Where have you allowed other people's actions to impede on what you see for yourself, right? And I'm going to go back to the fact that most people don't know what they see for themselves. They don't sit down and say specifically, here's what I want money-wise, body-wise, relationship-wise, and then make it non-negotiable. We don't sit down and do those things. Therefore, if you don't want to be measured, you're not willing to be held accountable. Let me say that again. If you're not willing to be measured, you're unwilling to be held accountable. And if you're unwilling to be held accountable, then you have abdicated the things that you complain about as your weaknesses to other people. They now control you. They are the ones driving the boat, not you. Okay. Third thing is your environment, right? I know that a lot of people say, well, I'm born in this particular neighborhood. I'm stuck here. You know, there's bus tickets, there's all kinds of ways. And if nothing else, listen to this podcast and listen to this show and understand that you have options, right? Just by reaching out. There's so many resources that I have, not talking monetarily. There's so many resources that we have. If you're a battered woman, if you're somebody that's being trafficked, if your child has been trafficked, if you would know a family that's hungry, if people need clothes, if they're looking for safe travel, if they're looking to get out of a gang lifestyle and move to another, if they're just getting out of prison, need a job, if they're a veteran coming back and they need a job, there's all kinds of resources that are out here. And all you got to do is reach out. That's why the show is out here. You don't have to pay for this. There's nothing, nobody's paying any, well, the sponsors are, but you don't have to pay for this information. You don't have to pay to share it with somebody that may need to hear it. This is the free press, y'all. Even though I know that on some areas, conservatives are being tamped down, and they're starting their own websites. They're starting their own, Parlay started up because in a response to Twitter, and there's 1,000 people a minute that are joining Parlay. Because they want to get away from being censored, their speech being censored because of an ideological standpoint. I don't know how long Twitter is going to last. Who knows? But so the three things you control: your mindset, your actions, and your environment. Who you choose to be around, the information you're putting in your head, the conversations, the words that you allow to come out of your mouth. Do you throw out things to people to fight, or do you throw things out to solve them? Right? Are you part of are you part of the problem, or are you part of the solution? And again, this is Misfit Nation. I just figure I'm talking to a specific type of human being, and that type of human being is judged by the way that your feet move, not what your mouth is saying. It's by the content of your character, not by your past failures, but by who you are today, who you choose to be tomorrow, who you choose to relegate your power to, who you choose to give that away to. And I'm just here to say every fucking episode, y'all, that I love you and that you can do it. But hard work is a part of it. You can't sit back and expect that the world's going to come to you. You got to go at it. You got to go at it every single day. And while you're going at it, you got to accept the responsibility to hear the feedback that you're getting, to measure that feedback, and to say, what am I going to do to differ my approach tomorrow? If you do the same shit day after day after day, I don't like fortune cookies. I don't like breaking them open, but it is complete and total, utter fucking insanity when you do the same shit day after day and you expect something different to come of it. You got to change, even in little tiny increments. We overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10, right? And so put your blinders from here, what's happening today, to 10 years out, and start playing a 10-year game, right? Start playing a 10-year game. So that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about. I used to be a control freak that controlled my environment out of fear, right? I controlled the people around me by physical threat, and not women, by the way, but in my experience dealing drugs, collecting money, those kind of things, intimidation used to be a tool in my repertoire. And I don't like that earlier version of me. And I can't blame anybody for not liking that knew me back then, for not liking that version of me. You know, and then there was versions of me that were later that came that I wouldn't like to hang out with, right? The me of today, I really fucking like. And that's the problem that people have when they attack me is you can attack me all you want, but I happen to like who I am because I've chosen it. And I continue to challenge this person that looks me in the mirror every single day to do better, right? To do better. And that's the motto of livebearded.com, by the way, who was one of the very first people that supported this show and supported the missions that we were doing and really pitched in from a philanthropic standpoint, and is full of a bunch of bearded fucking maniacs that like to take care of their beards, and they love their country and they love their families, and they love to support and to protect those people that can't protect themselves. So that's a shout out for Live Bearded. And what else we got coming up? So that's it. Again, if you want to come see the finale of to the next Impactor. Okay, Sandy asked a question. What am I a control freak in? I'm not so much a control freak. Again, I think the earlier version of me, and I want to make sure I make this right because we kind of blew through a lot of this, but the earlier part of me was in control out of fear. And, you know, again, another thing that came from the debates on the Democratic side was Marianne Williamson. I mean, look, there's two sides of it. What a fucking weirdo, right? And what a beautiful fucking human being. And that's kind of how I feel about me, Misfit Nation. It's just weird shit, right? Weird shit. But she injected something that was really, really powerful about dealing in love versus dealing in fear. And in the earlier part of my life, it was based out of fear. And what I do, and I'm still a control freak today. I'm a control freak with my time. I'm a control freak with my mindset. The three things that I put here. I'm a control freak with my environment, the people that I decide to let into my life and that I hang out with. And I'm a control freak with my actions. What do I do day in and day out? I go to the gym. I keep my body healthy. I put the right food in. I'm constantly pushing the edge of anti-aging and higher levels of performance through non-drug induced sort of scenarios, right? Harnessing the really good that's out there, and really controlling. I do my best to control my mindset. I still have a temper. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. But I can tell you I like this version, call it version 47, because I'm 47 years old, about to be 48. But version 47 of Jason Cisneros is a fucking cool dude, and I love him. And that allows me to demonstrate on a day-to-day basis more love for people that need it. And she just wants to get into this shit. Now she's asking me what my vice is, right? My vice. What is my vice? What am I addicted to, I think is your question. I'm addicted to feeling good. It's a great question, and I'm doing my best to really answer the question in a genuine way for you, Sandy, because I think that I think a lot of us that hang out in the Misfit Nation have addictive personalities, and the difference is which vehicle are we choosing to be addicted to? Which vehicle are we choosing to get into? And I've just chosen some better things to be addicted to. I'm addicted to physical fitness. I'm addicted to high levels of energy. I'm addicted to loving. I'm addicted to rescue. I'm addicted to philanthropy. I'm addicted to making other people shitloads of fucking money. I'm addicted to so that we can change the world together in a way that is impactful, right? And to Miriam Williamson's point, out of love, like, we love. We just, Misfit Nation's more about love than it is anything else. I see you guys, come at things in different conversations that we put out in my pages, and I see you come at them, and I see your restraint, right? There was two definitions of the word control that we talked about earlier in the show. And I didn't even tell you them because we just went flying down the fucking road. But there's two different definitions of the word control. One is to command and direct. The other one is to restrict or regulate. And both of them are very important, right? Both perspectives. You have a positive and you have a negative. And if you feel the in command and directing of your own life, that's a positive. But if you feel restricted and controlled by someone else, that's no fun, right? That's no fun. So I think it's just getting in touch. Thank you, Kimberly. You know, I think that Kimberly is part of hashtag Team Jason. She's doing a really great job. This woman's heart, her ability, just like the rest of us, right? Just like the rest of us, there's always so much more to us than we're showing the world. And I think that is how I kind of want to end the show, is look in that mirror, see what it is you want for your own life, and stop comparing it to other people. Stop comparing it to the younger version of you. Stop comparing to the parents that, the parents that raised you. Stop comparing it to your neighbors, your brother, your best friends, what you see on television, especially what the fuck you see on social media, right? Brian Sly, he says, glad he took control of his got the live stream. Brian's another guy, massively, massively proud of, but they will tell you that I push them, right? I push them. And I think that's again, keep saying, I know that that's the reason why I want to do the show, is to push people out of their comfort zone so that they could achieve more for themselves. And I'm watching it happen over and over and over again with Brian, with Kimberly, with Christopher, with everybody that's on the team, Brian Gable, right? Everybody that's on the team from the beginning, from Brenda to Amy and everybody else that's on there. It's that you have to take control of your own life by doing the hard shit, right? The conversation that I had with this friend of mine today. If you lean too heavily on your personality, right? Think about two arms, and you've got one arm and you tie it to your body, and the other, you're using your right arm at the gym constantly. This one's going to get really strong and your other one's going to atrophy. And what a lot of people do is they lean. He happened to lean very heavily on the fact that he was a hell of a salesperson, right? And I told him, I said, you're atrophied in the area of process and procedure. You're atrophied there. And so what's going to happen is what's happened over a lot of time is these can sell a lot, make a lot of money, take a break, go away. There's not going to be anything built solid behind him. And so it's a mixture. Even if you're too process and procedure oriented, your shit's growing slow or small, or it's tiny and it's as small as it's never going to get to its full potential, because you don't allow that other light in called sales, called service, called interacting with the world, right? Everybody that has a certain way of looking at the world tends to think that their way of looking at the world is the best. And when you can understand and appreciate and love your way of looking at the world, but know and understand that there's better thoughts, there's better ways of approach, there's better solutions to the problems that exist in your own life. That's the world I want to live in, y'all. So hence the Bald Avenger show. Yay. I love the way y'all think. I love having every single person on my team has got a different personality. Francesca Fonzie, whatever it is, from South Africa. You know, her own personality. Every single person has got a different personality. And I love that. And oh my God, if you want to look at Jeff and Lauren, who started the show, who came up with the concept, you couldn't have two different people. And they battled it out. And I've jumped in to sort of help in the middle of all of that. And I've banged heads with both of them, right? But we start out with the idea that we love each other and that we've got each other's back. And so we can say pretty much anything and attack the problem and never the person, right? If all they did was on the debate, and if I was going to be doing the interviewing of the debate, I would say, okay, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for putting yourself up here. The one thing that we can't do is we can't pander. In other words, you can't come up here and you can't say shit that you don't mean, that if all we have to do is go to a week ago and look at you on video saying that you were for the opposite of it. You can't pander, right? That means that you can't promise something that you know damn good and well that you're never going to fucking deliver on when you get into office, right? They say, like, literally it's set up as if it's acceptable to say, well, you got to start out on the, Republicans on the right side, and then you come to the center, and then you got to start out on the left side, and you got to come to the center. Basically what we're saying is that we've just made it okay for everybody to be full of shit and for them to lie to us, right? And we're sitting around going, oh, Donald Trump's approval rating is blah, blah, blah. Fucking Congress is at 20%. They're not even half of what Trump's approval rating is. And there's 535 of those fuckers in one house and 50 of them in the other. Or sorry, 100 in the other, right? And one president. And they got, the whole thing has 20% approval rating. Who should we be fucking changing? Y'all, come on. Like, they've put blinders on us, and we've just been willingly going, okay, I'll go ahead and listen to whatever it is that you have to say to me. Okay, I'll take it. God. I have no idea where I was going with that, but it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And all we have to do is wake up and take our blinders off and stop arbitrarily fucking hating everybody that's on the other side of it, and start seeking them out. Start seeking out people that are aligned with you in easing suffering, right? If they're about causing suffering, it doesn't matter what side they're on. If they're aligned with you easing suffering, that's why I have the weirdest fucking conglomeration of friends, business partners, clients, that anybody else. I have the weirdest fucking mix. I love going to dinners in different cities because I'm surrounded by, and I just sit there and I'm eating and I'm going, you guys are the weirdest fucking people I've ever met, and I love you, right? You've heard me say that before, because that's the way that I want to live my life, with a bunch of weirdos that don't fucking agree with me. Okay. That's it. Choose to command and direct your own life. Stop restricting yourself and regulating yourself, and stop allowing other people to restrict you and to control you. Take back control of your own life. You have it. The power is in your hands for you to take back control of your own life so that you can get as good as you possibly can for the purpose of serving other people. Okay? So that's it for Just Jason Monday. I love you all. Thank you so much for the comments. Thank you guys. The interaction is what really drives me. This is why I brought the show. We were just producing it and then putting it online. And I was missing the interaction because y'all are my family, and y'all challenge me. You all keep me honest. You all protect me against outside bullshit attackers. I really do look at Misfit Nation as my family. I didn't plan it this way. Nobody could have, but it's the way that it's worked out. And keep in mind, we're gonna be putting together that Misfit ball that I was talking about. And very, very shortly, we're going to be announcing some dates for that. And we're all going to be able to come together, break bread, dance. I've got a really badass band that wants to come. I've got a couple of cool comedians, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be the Misfit Ball. I'll let you all know when it's going to happen. And otherwise, come to Chicago and hang out with us. It's going to be a fantastic day. We're going to be doing some speaking during the day. The coaches are going to speak during the day. And then at night, it's the finale, y'all. And it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a part of history because it's going to be the first season of the Next Impactor of many seasons to come. I didn't believe that wholeheartedly when we started this thing. It's a certainty in my mind now that it's going to be something that lives on for a very, very long time. And everybody that's playing the game, you impactors who decided to step up, I'm proud of you, and you're a part of history, and people are going to remember your names for a very, very long time. So I love you. I'm going to shut the hell up. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Take control of your own life. Stop letting people control you. And I'll see you next Monday. We got a couple of shows this week, but I'll announce them separately with some really cool characters that are going to be coming in. But just know that I love you and I appreciate you, and share this out with other people that you think might be people that fit the Misfit Nation sort of area, that are, maybe outsiders that are looking for a family, looking for a place to go. that they can say whatever the fuck they want as long as it's said in love and curiosity, right? Love and curiosity. Those are our two key components of the Misfit Nation. Love y'all. Peace.